Good evening, viewers, those who are watching us within Uganda and those in the diaspora. We are glad you have made NTV your #1 station. And we are also happy that you have made NTV People's Parliament your favorite program. Of course, it's the only platform in this country that gives opportunity to wananchi to speak about issues that affect their communities and policies that affect them. Tonight, it is yet another Saturday, and we are in Soroti District, discussing yet a very important topic in this country that does not only affect the people of Soroti and Teso region, but the entire country, the Uganda that we live in. And that is income inequality and public service delivery. As you are aware that the GDP of this country is growing. But who is growing? Are they the Ugandans? Are they the poor who are growing, or the richer who are growing? So we want to speak about the gap between the poor and the rich. I am your speaker, Agnes Nandutu. What is the situation in your district or in your community? Do you have few richer people and more poor people? That is what we want to speak about here in Soroti District and Teso region at large. Teso Kire, Yalama Anyun Ese of People's Parliament. Yalama Noinoi, Yalama. Welcome to NTV People's Parliament, honorable members. This is yet another Saturday, and we are in Soroti District to discuss the income inequality in Soroti District and the Teso region at large. NTV, together with our partners Oxfam, we want to hear your voices. But before we get the ball rolling, may I call the chairman of the district to tell us what is on ground in Soroti District and Teso region at large. Chairman, you have the floor. You have now become the honorable member of this parliament.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honorable members of parliament and all of us present here. Madam Speaker, my name is Gregory Mikare Gunyu. I represent the people of Soroti. There are three things you cannot remove. One of them is ignorance. Whether you want it or not, it will be there. The other one is poverty. Because among the poor, there is a rich one. Among the rich, there is a poor one. Then the last one is ignorance. But our problem is to reduce the what? The gap.
Between the poor and the rich.
I want to thank you for that.
Yeah.
Madam Speaker, how do we become rich? We are thinking that if we improve the road network of our people to move, so that they can move and take their things to the markets, we think they can improve. And I believe we have done this one very well. And as far as I'm concerned, all our roads are motorable as far as Soroti District is concerned. The other thing is we had the people last time, there was a lot of problem as far as the family is concerned here, and people complained a lot that why don't we try and now, because of this climate change, have what we call tanks. And I'm happy the government has had this. We are already building a water tank as a demonstration to see if it can help us. We hope if these things improve, we may also add value to what our people do instead of waiting only for what? For rain. We are also very serious. I am here, my natural officer is here. We are thinking also getting a bylaw as far as the wetlands are concerned. Because we feel if we are going to play with the wetlands, this poverty will extend its things. Three, I want also to say that I want to thank the teachers, thank the parents, that our results, although not analyze them, are not very bad. But what we want to tell our parents, for us to very rich, for us to reduce poverty, we must invest in education. Let the children that we produce know the value of everything they are doing. If you have land, does that child value the land? If the father puts some asset, and when that father goes away, does the child value that thing? So we are thinking that within our poverty, our parents should emphasize on the issue of educating our children. I am also very delighted to say the council also passed that, whereas we are also thinking about the boreholes, we should also begin tapping what we call surface water. I am happy we have done this thing in Igweri. We're already going to do one in Katene, in a place called what? Adamasiko. I am very comfortable that any time when that thing is going to work, it may help those people there. So that a few farmers can begin getting that water and they begin irrigating their crops. My thinking is that, honorable members of parliament, time for free things have gone. We need to spend in order for you to get. If we are still thinking of free, we might have a problem. That was the time, I think, my Lord Bishop is here, when people woke up and they got their things there.
As you wind up,
As I wind up, I also want to say, in the wisdom of this council, they also say, since the population is great, is growing, having Soroti district with very few administrative units may not give proper service delivery. So this council deliberated and created more sub-counties in the district, with the hope that when those things are given, we shall increase what they call service delivery. I want to request, Madam Speaker, that our challenge now and tomorrow and yesterday is the issue of the IFMIT. This is what they call balanced diet. What? Not balanced diet. There's where they call, what is this thing? Cash limit. Sometimes we get our money here, but without a cash limit, when the problems break down, you cannot access the water.
So you have cash limitation in Soroti district?
Not Soroti. I think it's the whole thing in the whole district. Thank you very much. May the good Lord bless you. I thank you.
Thank you. The chairman has talked about cash limitation. I think since there is no age limit on the presidential, there should not also be cash limit in Soroti district. So let me invite an expert from Oxfam.
Good afternoon, Madam Speaker. I'm Chomsha Rebecca, and I work as a research and policy coordinator for Oxfam in Uganda. So every year, the gap between the rich and the poor gets wider, as you can see. The Madam Speaker mentioned that Uganda's GDP is now at an average for the last 10 years of 5.9. But who is growing is the question. The rich are getting richer. About 35% of the richest of the wealth of Ugandans is owned by the top rich people. And then the lowest have about 2.5% of the national income. So who is growing? So while the GDP is growing, the gap is increasing. And as my previous speaker spoke, he said what we are fighting is the gap, because the rich will always be. There will always be the rich and there will always be the poor. So there are rules at governance level that government is making that are exacerbating this process. For example, if there are tax waivers for the rich, then the poor, the gap increases. Because now me, the rich man, I come and I'm given a tax waiver, but the poor are being taxed. For example, in the last budget, there were taxes that were put on water, on paraffin, on the things that the poorest person uses. But then there are tax waivers for the rich, for the investors, for the developers, you know. Several taxes are being waived. So who is growing is still the question I'm asking. So there's a mismatch between macro growth, macroeconomic growth at the national level, and the statistics being put out there, and what is actually on the ground. You hear people saying, yes, we are growing as a country, but is your salary growing as you? When you sell your crops and commodities, is the price at which you're selling them increasing to match the matching growth? Are you benefiting more on the ground? So while government of Uganda has a strategy to reach middle income status by 2020, there are many reforms that have been put in place, and they are aimed at improving efficiency of the public service system. However, there's not enough political will to do this. And then despite this, there isn't enough, yes, collection and allocation and utilization of public resources. So this has impacted the quality of public service.
Okay.
We have also said that when you spend more on public services like health and agriculture and education, you reduce the gap between the rich and the poor. When someone can go to hospital and get very subsidized or preferably free medical services, then they can save their little income to do other projects, to spend on other things. And when you provide these services, the people that benefit the most are the women and the children. Yes, Madam Speaker, I hope to end there.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'll give you an opportunity. I think you have heard the statistics from our partners, Oxfam. The key facts from Oxfam in Uganda inequality report says that the people of northern Uganda are 8 times poorer than those in central Uganda. You have 2 minutes, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. My name is Andrew Joseph Omiat. I represent the people of Wusu County, Katakwi District. When you look at our population here, for instance, in Teso, we have almost 3 million people. Now, when you look at critically, we also see that our population here is around 90% engaged in agriculture. So that means, therefore, if we look at the issue of inequality, that means that we really need to focus on the issues of agriculture. Yes. How can we empower? Because it's about empowering citizens. How can we empower? We also look at the budget allocation on agriculture. We also look at the marketing of agriculture. As we speak right now, the kilo of cassava here is around 600. And if we want to elevate these people or to empower these people, that we need to look at the critical sector where they engage, and that is agriculture. That means, therefore, we need to put more resources in agriculture so that they can have the money from the haves, those who do not have. We also look at the issues of health delivery, because we want the trickle effects to the people. In all our public units here, you have delegate medicine. If you walk in there, you get human resource, the power is there, but we don't have medicine.
Not even
one thing that I have realized, possibly Panadol for 2 days, and the rest of the days are not. So that means that when you look at to go there, that means that we identify one thing, the issue of national drug stores. These issues need to be even closed, this drug store. This national drug store needs to be closed. Because most often that you hear that the drugs have expired. Our opinion here, we think that it should be sub-regionalized. It should be brought Eastern region, possibly in Mbale, so that it can be accessible for the poor. Okay. It's the issues of accountability and accessibility of medicine. We also need to look at another issue where you find that in the dispensation of justice, because many of our people are in prisons. That means therefore affect their time of productivity. That means that they cannot earn anything to support their families.
Thank you, Honorable Member.
Thank you.
Thank you for those very important points. Please.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. My name is Jerome Pia, and I'm a Honorable Councillor of this council, yes, Sorot District. I would like to begin on a note that we have a new definition of poverty. If you know the money in your pocket at any given time, then you are actually poor. If you do not know the money in your pocket at any given time, you are actually rich. For us here, as you change the trouser and you find that it is missing, you'll demand for it.
How much do you have in your pocket so far now?
3,000 shillings.
So you want to say that you are poor?
Honorable Speakers, Madam, very key point to be noted is that in Uganda, education is unfairly distributed. The scholarships by government is taken by the rich in this country. Ministers who take their children to better schools, at the end of the day, they're the ones who take the scholarships.
And they also go for treatment abroad.
Exactly. In the poor regions like Teso, you'll find that we go for lousy courses that do not make a significant change in our lives. If you look at the exodus of the youth from the rural to the urban, it has increased over the 10 years from less than 3 million to over 6 million people. And what are we coming to do in the city or in the towns? We are coming here to do gambling, to do betting, there is no industrialization in the country that can, in the Europe during the time of Renaissance, people were moving from the rural to the urban to the industries. Here we're moving into betting. Teso is the second poorest regions in the country. Okay. You find that agriculture is given less than 3% of the national budget. And yet, if we moved it to just 10%, we would have been able to make a lot of changes.
Thank you, Honorable Member. As government, you should have a political will to fight corruption, because the corrupt have become richer and the taxpayers are becoming poorer. Don't go away. NTV People's Parliament comes back shortly. Yes, welcome back. You are watching NTV People's Parliament, sitting here in Soroti District, discussing none other than income inequality that is growing in Uganda. Not only in Uganda, but globally. But now we are focusing on Uganda. And we are seated here in Soroti District in conjunction with our partners, Oxfam. I'll begin with you.
Thank you. I am Santos John Labeja. Honorable members, I stand here to say this. Every other policy that we have had, save for agriculture, for education, for health, whatsoever you call them, I call them ad hoc policies, because they are changed by the day and by the whims of those in power. And this creates a very serious problem for the technical staff who are here on the ground to offer services for which they have been trained. A case in point, we have had problems of agriculture, the extension workers. Do we have extension workers anymore? Well, but they are there by name because the work for which they had been trained and they were employed have been taken over by the military. Instead of NADS, which is National Agricultural Advisory Services, we now have the military, I don't know how to call it, the military agricultural policy or something. And so that is where we have serious problems. Coupled with that, honorable members who are gathered here, and honorable speaker, the issue that we are battling with hinge on policies. If policies are erratic, then we are going to have services that are also erratic.
Okay.
As I wind up,
yes,
I was attacked by high blood pressure in 2016 as I was going to my residence in Amuria. And when I was taken there unconscious to Health Center 4, even Panadol was not there. If you cannot have Panadol in Health Center 4, then what do you expect the roads that have been built to do?
Okay,
with the patients?
Point made, Honorable
Thank
Member.
you very, very much,
Thank
Honorable Speaker.
Lack of Panadol in a Health Center 4 is really embarrassing to our government. Honorable Member, you have the platform.
Yeah, Madam Speaker, my name is Paul Omer, and I'm a substantive mayor. We used not to be, and we used to be the background and the backbone of Uganda's economy. Before 1986, TESO had an economical base. They had animal economy, they had a cereal economy, they had all what it took them, cotton and the rest.
And the cows.
And the cows. That is what I'm saying, the animal economy. Now, after 1986, there was strategic wars that came to TESO, and TESO became so poor, the way you are today, coming with the topic inequalities in income. Before 1986, TESO was able to take their children to school without even borrowing money from a neighbor. And that is how TESO was. And before 1986, TESO had a fleet of professors. Today, if we can count, I think Professor Pelo, and then few Okong, and then the rest in Teso here alone, who have gone to a maximum where they must be respected in this country. But before that time, today we have security guards. Strategic wars that were brought in 1986 by people now.
Why are you calling them strategic wars?
They were strategic in order to make Teso weaker and poor. And in before 1986...
That is his own opinion, not
that is the opinion of the audience. That's why you see the honorable members are clapping. I am proud, they are clapping. Madam Speaker, is mine not by view, but as a representative of Teso sub-region as it was before. The subdivision of Teso into many constituencies has brought us more poverty and more inequalities in terms of what we are now seeing as it was opposed before that time.
Today but I thought the honorable member, government's intention of creating more districts is bring services closer to the people.
Public expenditure, minus mining of what you have just had my colleagues to speak about here, lack of medicine, lack of agricultural equipment and the rest, strategic planning in order to ensure the basis of people and it is uplifted. All of them, they are here. Both the members of the ruling party and the opposition are here, and that's why you are seeing they are clapping. I would like to wish one of them to come and oppose here, whether it was not a strategic war. There was a strategic war that was
there is nobody to contrary to his view.
If they are there, let them come. I'll come back to the podium. Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it is only today.
You all agree with him? You all agree with him?
Yes. It is only today, Madam Speaker, where we can get a member of parliament boast in Teso that is educating children. Formerly, every episode had a capability of educating his child.
As you wind up, honorable member.
As I wind up, Madam Speaker, there are very bad policies in the government. Even to the few people of ours, you talked about tax exemptions and the rest. Our indigenous people here, the introduction of URA, whether it was a basis for government, was a better one. But many of our businessmen have gone out of business. They are taxed heavily and they have gone home. Since you did not tell me to name them, I would have named them. Some of them have gone home. Some of them are tying their belts now. They have trousers using ropes.
Thank you. Thank you, honorable member. I will give you another opportunity. I will give you another opportunity at a later age. I can see you have very many good points. You have the platform. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. My name is Honorable Jessica Omodo, representing the Women Youth in Sorority. Madam Speaker, you are aware that the NADS, the then famous NADS, was modified into Operation either Poverty Creation or Wealth Creation. I'm not very certain. Forgive me.
It is wealth creation, madam. It's Operation Wealth Creation.
Thank you very much for the correction, Madam Speaker. You are aware that in a sub-county like Asirate, we rejected oranges that were purportedly grafted and they were withering already, some already dry. I don't know if that is the way of enhancing our wealth creation. Then there is also a mismatch on the distribution versus the demand. In Kamuda sub-county, we were given about 5 lorries of mango seedlings that were not requested for. And the sub-county leadership is left with no choice but begging any passerby to take some. On one monitoring visit, I was actually asked to take some and I said I didn't have land. Members, that is how bad the situation is. Then also on the inadequate supplies. Members, Sorority District has more than 60,000 families, and the largest of the sub-counties like Gweri, getting 2 dairy cattle, with about 46,000 households, and with an average of about 10 to 15 members in a family. Members, I failed math. How can 2 dairy cattle feed a healthy baby in 46,000 households in a sub-county? It is that alarming. Members, there is also this other thing of the agricultural credit facility. I have gone around telling youth that there is this bunch of money allocated for all those eligible youth. But how rigorous is the process? Actually, the money is being swallowed by none other than the elites who are above 40. You get elderly women who are the halves, who are the halves, or the older men who are past 40 accessing this money. Even those youth who have been able to access this money, the conditions are very stringent. Members, if we want a better tomorrow, then the focus be on the youth, and especially on agriculture.
As you wind up, Honorable Member.
Now, we talk about water for production. In the last budget, there was a tax waiver for the irrigation equipment, but this is direct to the mechanized agriculture. And you are very aware that most of us seated here today are dwelling in nothing other than the small pro-poor, small-scale holder farmer agriculture, where someone is able to till an acre or so. So if you're giving a tax waiver for mechanized agriculture, members, does any of us qualify in this house? Who are looking for avenues, who are looking for resources to empower those in the leadership positions to do a rigorous research to ensure that when you talk of water for production, we are looking for affordable and replicable methods that a lay person, that my grandmother in the village can afford.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Thank you. But are you demanding your leaders to provide all this that you're talking about as the people of Soroti district? Are you demanding for accountability from the leaders that you voted into power? Yes, you have the platform, Honorable Member.
Yes, Madam Speaker, thank you so much. If you looked at our country, TESO is not really given a balanced region. You find that most of the institutions that are existing are centered in the central region, the western region, and mention others. Recently, we have been very hopeful about the existing factory. We thought the existing factory that has been created would perhaps bring us some money and perhaps increase our pockets. The factory has never been functional. Members here, you are all aware of what is happening already. And so, that even makes us to get more worried that where are we ending? Even the little resources that are brought, the institutions that are brought are not functional. Look at the university that has been promised and which is there. How long does it take other universities that existed to operate? But look at TESO. This one has taken a century. You will bet me with me. You will also look at the existing resources in terms of employment. Honorable members of parliament, you realize that when you look at our resources that we have, currently, we still lag very behind. Why? This is all because of the so many wars, as the honorable member explained. And also this is because of the inequality that is existing in terms of distribution. If at all government begins to account and to be transparent to the citizens of this nation, then we can be able to talk about balancing or maybe trying to at least reduce the income gap. But where we are right now is very alarming. You'll all agree with me. Times when we grew up, most of the women went to school. But as I speak at the moment, most of the young girls are married at a teenage age. And so there are many mothers who are very young. Not only to mention the many mothers very young, defiled generation, if I'm to call it. And so that should be alarming because you realize that there's a saying, when you train a woman, you've trained a nation. I don't know what we are training as Ugandans. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. My name is Honorable Jonathan Ikochu. I represent the people of Surete. In TESO, as we speak right now, there are thousands of people who can hardly afford a meal a day. At the same time, there's a lot that government has been doing to sideline the people of TESO. I can give an example. When it comes to the national census, the numbers of the people of TESO have kept deteriorating. Nobody is telling the people of TESO what happened to the so many people who are missing. There has been war here in TESO, but it cannot account for over 1 million people. And yet, when it comes to resource distribution and allocation, we are basing on these statistics and doing creative statistics to malign the people of TESO. I want to add my voice again to the issues of industrialization. When we grew up in TESO here, we ate beef from the Soroti beef factory. There were several industries here that were making soap. We had Saimco here in Soroti operating, plus many others, to mention but a few. But as we speak now, there is no single industry from Kachumbala up to Kabremaido.
So people are becoming poorer and poorer.
Definitely, I want to say that there's a lot of disservice that has been done to the people of Teso deliberately. You all know where the cows from Teso went. This is not a story to talk about now. The cows from Teso, you know where they went.
Okay.
We came from Abyssinia with these cows over 4,000 years ago. But when we reached Uganda here,
somewhere.
we know where those cows went.
And
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you so much. What can we do to fight that gap as the people of Soroti and Uganda at large? Let's go for a short break. And when we come back, we shall have a way forward from the people of Soroti. Yes, welcome back. You are still watching NTV People's Parliament, sitting here in Soroti District, discussing a topic of income inequality in Uganda that is growing every day. Yes, honorable members.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. My name is Honorable Tino Ross.
You will come afterwards.
Inadequate funding by the center to the districts is what is making us, as the leaders in power right now, not to fulfill what our people down there demand from us as leaders. And my way forward towards that is that if the people up there would adjust in the budget to make sure that we shall also be able to utilize the resources that are given to us as a district to make sure that we give better service delivery to our people. If we would get ways, or the government would help us as the people of Teso and Soroti in particular, that we forge a way forward. How should our products be marketed out such that the common person down there will also, when we talk about income, such that the income of our people will also do what? Improve. That is what I want to put across about marketing.
Thank you, honorable member.
My name is Daniel Eigo, and I represent the people of Kamuda Sub-County in Soroti District. The issue of financing to local governments. At the rollout of decentralization policy in 1996, there was excitement. The budgetary allocation was 30% to local governments. Today, allocation is at 12%. We are aware that the people we are looking at to raise their standards of living and to take care of their livelihoods are people resident in the rural areas of this country. And in the rural areas of this country is where the direct implementers are the local governments. And out of 100% of the resource envelope, you are only allocating 12% to 80% of the population. Where is the 78%? We are not seeing the impact of the 78%. Our people are paying taxes. And I can tell you, I represent a sub-county that has a population of 40,000 people projected. Our allocation to health is 20 million shillings. That only shows us that allocation per person for health in my sub-county for an entire year is 500 shillings. Can't even buy Panadol. Prioritization in budgeting process should become an issue that should be taken up by central government very seriously. While some farmers have been so resilient and have, out of their own initiative, ferried water like the president has been demonstrating on bicycles, and maybe their citrus survived, the market is not there. Our factory here, they have been singing about it for the last over 15 years. The factory is there. It is not operational. Kenyan trucks are seen in villages across Teso, buying a whole bag of oranges at 25,000 shillings. How will our people become rich? How will they become wealthy? When even the procurement system that is done by Operation Wealth Creation is run in Kampala.
Okay,
our farmers have seedlings that are drying under shades. They have nowhere to sell seedlings, but seedlings are instead brought from Kampala to be distributed in Teso. Begin creating wealth by first creating a market for those farmers of Teso who have seedlings. Thank you so much.
Please, you have the
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, and the honorable members here. My name is Enomo Vincent. I am a honorable member representing the voiceless in Soroti.
Yes.
Madam Speaker, I am going to differ from all the previous speakers. For me, I believe this country has enough money. It is only that people have stolen all the money that would have really helped the people in the country. Madam Speaker, there is a report in Parliament.
And the people who have stolen that money, are they rich?
I am coming there. They are here. Some of them are here. Soroti district is number 9 in the corruption list. This is true. And I stand here with evidence I can give to you, Madam Speaker. Now, we are here crying. People are stealing money and our people are suffering. And they are not drugs. People are driving heavy cars. Soroti district can buy a car of 200 million for one person. And the poor, they are leading poor people here, and we are here going to deal on issues when our people are suffering. Madam Speaker, I want again tell the government of Uganda, they should stop giving tax holidays to the foreigners at the expense of Ugandans. Because when they give tax holidays to these people, and Ugandans are languishing with heavy taxes, now how are we going to come up as Ugandans? Soroti district has been ranked as the most corrupt in Uganda, and they are number 9. I don't know what the mayor and the chairman is doing here. The chairman talked about bringing services closer to the people. The people I represent have no better roads as was announced here.
So you mean the chairman was lying to this
I wanted
Parliament?
him to be around. I would have named for him all the roads. But his voice should be here. I think he should be around somewhere. Finally, Madam Speaker, I want to come here. Madam Speaker, I want to tell you where there is a problem is when we elect some of the councillors in the village council in the sub-counties, some of them cannot read and write. And they are supposed to pass through these budgets that are here. And how are they going to handle that? And these people, some of them are master's degree holders, and they can deal daily. The other ones, they don't know even how to account. They don't know cost accounting. They don't know planning accounting. Now these ones are busy siphoning the money because the other ones cannot do what they are
Wind up, Honourable Member, please.
Winding up, I had a lot of issues, Madam. But I want to tell you very clearly that money, Uganda has been saying we are collecting now a lot of taxes. Where is that money going? We should really close the gaps and we get money going to the people for development so that we reduce income inequality.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. You have the platform, please.
Thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker and the fellow honourables at large. Right Honourable Speaker, Nakale Tokelo is my name.
So how can we close the gap between the poor and the rich?
Very wonderful question, Right Honourable Speaker. The biggest gap is to remove leaders who don't have the political will in saving.
Thank you. You have made your point, Honourable Member.
Right Honourable Speaker, allow me also to tell you that the gap we are having between the have and the have-nots.
Order, Honourable Members.
Right Honourable Speaker, we are discussing today about unemployment, where we know when someone gets a job opportunity, that is where he can get something to serve and have something for tomorrow. But the degree of unemployment in this country, Right Honourable Speaker, I would love to tell you that it is being cultured. It is what they call politics above all. For you to get a job, they have to look at where does this support? Is it a comrade? Is it the cadre? Whereby we have planted people who don't have the authentic knowledge to handle the development of this country.
Okay,
and the people of the knowledge have failed it off. Finally, Honourables in the August House, I would love to declare that the fight of the haves and the have-nots, it is a high time we, the people who don't have, must rise and rescue the situation of our country, because the leaders that we have do not have anything for the benefit of this country. Thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you, Honourable Member. You have the platform, please.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My name is Ben Boham Okror, also known as the Peacemaker. I come from Amuria. I would like to particularly talk about agriculture. And beginning with the point of pain, the middlemen are killing us. Teso agricultural produce is one of the cheapest in the country. And the reason is that everybody is driving their trucks to Teso to deplete us of this very good agricultural produce. I think government needs to invest more as a way forward on cooperatives. We need to have a rebirth of the cooperatives, and we need, secondly, we need a national agricultural bank that can enable our farmers to access manageable credits, not these that are given to us
by the commercial banks. I think we need to stop facilitating the commercial banks to cheat us on high interest rates and let them be for the rich perhaps, so that the people who are benefiting from agriculture, 90% of our population in Teso, can have better access of agricultural facilities in the banks. Okay. The banks should have branches to say all over the country, and particularly for Teso that has now 8 districts, probably it needs more than one bank. And I think that will help the people of Teso to close the income inequality gap that we are facing. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Isn't that a powerful way forward, honorable members? Thank you, please.
Madam
One
Speaker,
minute, please, honorable member.
Madam Speaker, my name is David Okuru David. I'm representing the farmers. It is my way forward that the Ministry of Test Affairs is holistically elevated to a full ministry and given resources and given all the power so that the region is gotten out of poverty.
Okay.
Most of the shops, most of the companies, or most of any organizations who are trying to help people get employment are levied a lot of taxes. For example, I can give you a number of them. You are given tax areas of 400 million. My way forward, therefore, is this. In situations where Teso is not at par with other regions, maybe tax exemptions should be put in place or tax waivers. I pray to say.
Thank you.
My name is Bob Owin. I represent the thousands of very many poor youth, voiceless, marginalized in this district of Soroti. I want to close the book of Lamentations and open the book of Revelations. Let the government ensure that other tribes are given what? Way forward number 2. Way forward number 2, the district service commissions. Because powers are within the district service commission to give the locals in the district jobs. But now even the Bible says, I don't know if we could amend the Bible, more shall be given to those who have, and even the little shall be removed to those who don't have. Now, when you look at the district service commission, instead of giving jobs to those people who qualify and are poor, most of the people who work with governments and local governments are connected to people within the system. The poor don't have access to these jobs.
Okay, thank you, Honorable
Thank
Member.
you very much.
Thank you. Well, Oxfam, our partners, can you wind up in 1 minute and we go?
Thank you very much, fellow honorable members and Madam Speaker, for that hearty and heartfelt deliberation. I just want to say many of the facts you put forward were on point, because I have the statistics from the last financial year's budget, with 21% going to works and transport, although countrywide I hope we can see roads being developed, and we should highlight the fact that Teso has lagged behind in this. 12% interest payments, 11% education, 10% to energy, 8% to health, 8%, 6% to security, 3.9% to agriculture, and 12% to local government, which was previously 34% in early 2000. So I want to say that many of you are very knowledgeable, and you're holding your leaders accountable, I hope. So going forward, what can you as an individual do to work towards reducing this gap? And the method that you as a person have is your voice. Can you stand up and speak to your leaders and speak for your people who you know are struggling with this income inequality, the huge gap between the rich and the poor? Thank you very, very much, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity, and God bless Teso. Thank you.
Thank you, honorable members. Because of time, we are unable to continue with this parliament, but thank you, Yalama Noinoi, for being part of this very important topic and being part of this parliament. Yes, those who have been watching us, thank you for watching NTV People's Parliament in Soroti District, discussing the income inequality in the Teso region and Uganda as large. I think the powers that be, you have heard the voices of the people of Soroti, and it is our hope that you listen to these voices and do something to ensure that we close the gap between the poor and the rich. I am your speaker, Agnes Nandutu, and I aspire to inspire you before I expire. With powers conferred upon me as the Speaker of People's Parliament, I adjourn this House until next Saturday.
The views expressed on this show do not represent those of NTV or its staff.